I was previously in the Air Force, got out in 2010. I bought my first home in South Carolina. So I was kind of staying in that bubble for a little while, thinking like, I'm independent, I've got my together. What could I do with the skills that I had that would start paying me right away? And real estate was one of those things. Right now, I am reevaluating. So production does lead to big results, and you can have a team and you can leverage if that is what you want to do. I had that mentality already in place about like, people will respect my time if I respect my time.
This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it, all tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Oh my gosh. Yesenia Fernandez.
Hi.
Dude, you are the very first person who's actually taken shots before the show.
Oh, totally. I highly recommend for anyone who has public anxiety, do it. And what's crazy is that I know both of you guys, and literally 30 minutes ago, I was like, I don't know why I'm like this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the shots. Mike's like, let me pour you two. And here's wine for the chaser so we can have fun later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Love that. And now Allie's drinking too for the first time.
Yeah, solidarity, dude. I was like, Yesenia, I got you. Let me support you. Let me get a beer.
That's right.
So unsupportive. I love you both though. Their support. And like, yeah, dude, I'm glad you said you're a trailblazer. I get to tell our love story.
You have said this love story in front of people many times.
Yeah, but this is on the cuff. I wasn't planning to, but here it goes. Once upon a time, there was a younger real estate agent and another younger real estate agent than what we are now. And we were doing a cross sale in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I think, I was the buyer's agent. This girl named Yesenia was the seller's agent. And, we went back and forth. I was like, she's good. She's on her great communication. She's like showing me who's boss. And I'm like, okay, all right. And so I tried to be like, girl, leave your firm, come over to the dark side, get the tattoo on your lower back with the 5 Pillars logo, the whole thing. And and she's like, nah, fam, I'm not about that life. So fast forward probably like another, I would say a year, and we're doing another cross sale. And I'm like, I have to have this girl in my life. And she's like, fine, Shelby, you have worn me down. I will join you. And at this moment, I was like, oh, what I forgot to tell you is that I'm moving to Charlotte in 2 weeks. And she's like, why are you leaving me? And I'm like, no, it's okay. You can come too. And she had like never in her life considered moving. Well, actually, maybe she had, but she was like, dude, I think I might go, but I don't have anywhere to live. Granted, this is maybe the second time that we have spoken in person outside of real estate transactions. And I was like, yo, girl, just move in with me. It's going to be great. And this crazy is like, okay. And like fast forward 3 weeks later, we're literally living together. And that was the beginning of our love story.
That was the beginning of our love story. I want to put something in there that she forgot. It's Megan Amarine is part of our love story as well, because Shelby had this amazing TC, and although we did have these cross sales, I was like, this TC is amazing. I was a solo agent doing everything, doing contract to close, doing all of the things, running around, trying to put sign down, trying to drop off checks, trying to everything. And her TC was just so on top of it. And I was like, oh my God. When we sat down for the second time, I was like, yo, I will join you, but I need Megan. Yeah. I really do. I just want her in my life. Like I can be so much better if I just have Megan. And Shelby hit me with the move to Charlotte, all this. And then what did I find out, Shelby?
That Megan wasn't going to be your TC?
That Megan was never going to be my TC. And I was like, yo, you set me up for the okie doke.
Yeah, because Megan was the administrative oversight of all of the TCs. Because at that point, we had a full staff. So we had multiple TCs, listing coordinator, admin assistant, marketing, all that stuff. And so Megan was the one who was overseeing everyone, and I think she only did TC for me.
I think, or maybe not at all.
Yeah.
No, I think she was only TCing for you at that time. Yeah.
Sorry, I love you so much too.
Point out, you guys are hold on. I need to get this clear. You guys literally had only met twice in person, and then
for like 15 minutes.
Literally
for 15 minutes. Okay, and then you say, hey, move your entire business and move in with me to Charlotte?
Very convincing.
Very convincing.
Okay.
And
that you guys are worse than lesbians. That is insane. Even I wouldn't do that.
Dude,
wow.
It's like looking back on it now, that is so like against my personality.
It really
but
is.
I really was at a time in my business and in my life where I was like, I don't have anything to lose. I don't have any kids. I wasn't in a relationship. Like, I had all of my ducks in a row, if you will. It's like the worst thing that can happen is I don't like it and I move back. Like the end, So I literally just packed up my car. Shelby talked me through how to put my house on Airbnb.
But yeah,
I forgot.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I did forget about that. I was like, hey, by the way, there's a little dog that's going to be coming with me, and I hope you're okay with it. It's a package deal.
It's all good.
Anyway, she also did not tell the landlord for a minute. I don't even know what happened with that situation.
They don't need to know.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, so I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I move back, it doesn't work out, and I move back, whatever. And then I lived there for 2.5 years.
We love your DMs on Instagram, and as long as you don't sound like a bot or aren't sharing your overnight crypto success, hit us up on Instagram. Let's be friends. We're at The Shelby Show and at Allie the Agent.
Well, kind of. You actually lived there for a couple months before I set you and Mike up. And then you moved out to move in with him. Michael glassed me on episode, 4 in the beginning?
Yeah.
He's like, partner in crime with me for years, had to go and swoop my new best friend away from me.
Sure. That's a whole nother story, but he is the love of my life. We're getting married now, so
that's true.
Yay!
Yeah. Glad it worked out. It would have been awkward.
Okay, so you move your entire business and you're like, hey, let me just start over in a different city with this stranger but / lover, Shelby.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything I think went well, right? Because you've total done over 70 transactions and you know the contract in and out, which is what we're going to be diving deep into later. And I'm so excited. That's crazy. I didn't have any idea that you guys were like partial lesbians.
Okay.
Neither did I. There was a time where Shelby said some different comments, but now I know her. I know she's not a lesbian, but at the time I was like, is she really or not? Like, I'm not into girls.
I did not know you thought this. And this is news to me.
Well, I never said anything because I wasn't really sure, but I always picked up because Katie would be like, Shelby's the straightest kind of like lesbian girl I know. And then, I picked up the context clues. I'm like, okay, she's really joking. But
definitely straight.
There was definitely a while where I just was not sure. I even asked Mike one time. I was like, are you sure? Because this is just a little...
Wow. And you chose now to tell me this. You literally spent 2 nights at my house this weekend for a girl's weekend, and you're choosing to tell me now.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know.
Did Katie sleep in the middle? She's like, let me sleep on the other side of Katie.
Oh my God, Yesenia's like, no touchy.
No, we never slept together, but we always had sleepovers, and it was fun.
It's so fun.
That's
okay,
awesome.
Real estate though. We are going to talk about it. Okay. Allie slipped some stats in there. She slipped it in.
Okay,
but we need your shit show.
Oh, okay, my show, you guys. I'm gonna say something, but I don't want to go into this category. I just want you to take it surface level, okay, for the audience. There was a time when I was younger that I went through some trauma, okay, of the sexual nature, and it has lived with me over the years, right? So fast forward to a transaction that I had with a new lender. We have a lender that is near and dear to our hearts, Peace Doy, and he has different people coming on all the time that take over the transactions. And so I get this text from this random number. Now I have spoken to this man maybe like 30 minutes prior to the text messaging coming through. And it says, hey, is this the right number? And I was like, can I ask, who is this? I'm sorry, I don't have your number saved, but can I ask who this is? And he was like, yeah, you know who this is. And I was like, oh my God, someone is out there, like they're trying to get me. Michael, please help. I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm like, how dare he? Who is this person? I'm outraged, like truly in a fight or flight mode. Like I was in a full panic. Like someone's found me. I don't know who they are out there. Stranger danger. Come to find out, I find out it's the lender from Patrick. I sent Patrick the screenshot because I'm still convinced that this man is trying to hit on me. And he's not. He's just doing his job and making sure that it's my right phone number. Right? I'm like, Patrick, I just don't appreciate this. Like, you don't know how this made me feel, et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, I just want to make sure, is this about XYZ transaction, you know, the address 123 Main Street, and is this the guy that you were talking to? He puts his name in there, and I was like, yes, and yes. He's like, yeah, he was just wanted to make sure your number was correct, and I was like, oh, Patrick, I'm so sorry, and I'm totally embarrassed. Now I'm like going through, like, do I tell him the story? Should I not tell him the story? Now I'm apologizing to the guy. He's like, please just don't contact me again. I'll have someone else reach out to you. That was really embarrassing. That was,
dude. Okay. I'm embarrassed for you. No,
yeah. I'm mad for you because there were so many other ways you could phrase that first initial text. How much longer does it take to say, "Hey, I'm Allie Garced with EXP"? It doesn't take any extra time. Introduce yourself. It's let me go on a quick tangent. It's as if like people are reaching out to you saying like, hey, call me when you have a second. No, about what? Like, tell me the topic. Tell me who you are. Oh, true. I hate that. Like, let's just hop on a call for like 15 minutes. About what? Oh my gosh. No. If you don't give any more context clues, I'm either blocking you or I will never respond to you. Like, so I feel your pain.
If you're listening to this podcast, you get so many unsaved number text and calls every day, all day long, right? And most people, like Allie is saying, is telling me who they're with, what they're calling about, or what they're texting about. But this was very like, is this the right number? ? It was very plain. I was like, oh my God, I'm through with this.
Yeah. Sorry. I would have with that real hard. But I was sharing that.
I was. Yeah. I was really embarrassed, and I still have a relationship with this lender, so I still have to face him all the time, knowing that I made an idiot of myself during that time. And Michael was even going to call him, which would have been even worse. I was like, no, don't call him. Like, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to handle this. Okay.
Oh Truly. My gosh. No, I don't know. I'm pissed for you. I'm mad now. Let me keep drinking. Okay. Oh my God. I also want to ask, going into like your journey before real estate. So before you even met Shelby, before, you know, why real estate? Why real estate agent?
Oh, that's a great question. Why real estate? The answer to that is very simple. It's because I didn't have another way out and I was going through my options in life. So I am prior service. I was previously in the Air Force and I got out in 2010. I worked for the labor force in South Carolina, which was a really great job. I enjoyed doing that. And then I didn't have anyone in South Carolina. I bought my first home in South Carolina when I was 21. And so I was kind of staying in that bubble for a little while, thinking like, I'm independent. I've got my shit together. I bought this house and now I'm getting out. I've got a career. And then like reality hit. I was laid off because those are state-based funding programs. I decided that I was going to move back. I was going to go to school. I was going to become a nurse, which that's fun. And I went to UNC Pembroke for a little while. I ended up being put on the waiting list for the nursing program, which if you guys know anything of how waiting lists work, you have to stay an active member of the university in order to continue to be on the waiting list. However, that eats up your GI Bill if you're like me, just taking random classes to fill the time until your waiting list number comes up. And so that quickly did not work out. And so I ended up with this crazy production job. It was 12 hours a day, night shift on a rotating schedule. And I had been there for 2 years. Two major things happened. I was turning 28 at the time, which is not major, but it is kind of like a major turning point. My grandmother, she passed away. And so that was like a little bit of an existential crisis I was going through at that time. And I was really going through my options of like, what could I do with the skills that I had? And that would start paying me right away. And real estate was one of those things. And once I locked into real estate, I just went full force ahead. And that's really how I got started in real estate. Another factor that helped me make that decision was the house that I owned in South Carolina. I was previously renting at this time. And I was like, man, I could sell this house, have a chunk of change to get started, to kind of a cushion, if you will, for this next career move. And that's what I did. I sold my house. I had a fat savings account and I just went full force trying to replace my active income.
Curious about your lead gen that first year, because I know you were born and raised in Fayetteville, but what did you do to generate business for yourself that first year?
Yeah, that first year, I did everything from telling every single agent in the office that I would take whatever calls they didn't want to do on the weekend. I'd do all of their showings. I hit up my friends and family and would do like buyer's appointments and listing appointments because, when you're new in real estate, you don't really know what to say. So I was like, man, I have to get really good at this, and I'm just going to make my friends and family sit through this. So I scripted in front of my dog. I scripted with my brother. I would script with my friends. I'd be like, at the barbecue, y'all, I just need 10 minutes. Like, here it is. Okay, there you go. You're welcome. You got questions? No? Okay, I'm moving on. I did that. I called around other agents too. Like when agents in our office had listings, I did the cold calling to the neighborhood to say, hey, this listing has come on the market. And my firm at the time also had phone duty, where you can like get on the phone, everybody's assigned a time. And so I was assigned the time, but I also would pick up other people's phone duty during that time. And that ended up to 4 sales those first 6 months of my career.
So that sounds like, did you join a team? It sounds very teamish. Like, oh no. With the phone thing, oh, okay. Interesting. How did that work with dividing up phone time without being a team?
So in a traditional firm, usually they'll have it was a brick and mortar. And so they just had an agent on duty every day. And it was a different agent from the office that was assigned to that duty. You could choose to be a part of it or choose not to be a part of it. Those people that were a part of it, sometimes they would need people to fill their slot because a closing came up or their kid had a basketball, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I would just pick up those shifts.
Nice.
Dude, I love that because, so it's desperation. So desperation sounds aggressive, but you can feel the urgency in every one of your actions because it's clear that knowing what you know now, those things are it's spotty lead gen. If you were saying here's my lead gen strategy, there wasn't a solidified, clear, concise method in which you're proceeding. You were just aggressively pursuing every possible thing that you could get your hands on. And I feel that is an urgency that not everyone, 90% of agents are missing in their business. And then they're like, why do I not have closings?
Yeah. Yeah. You sent out 2 mailers last year. Yeah. Let's be more consistent and try different things. Yeah.
Sorry. I never sent out any mailers, but I did do flyers at the gym in people's car windows. Yeah. I did flyers in Walmart parking lots. I didn't know where the leads were going to come from, but I knew that my firm wasn't going to give me the leads. So therefore I needed to be the one to take action. And I had bills and I had a life to support. So I was extra motivated to get the closing wherever it came from.
Love that so much. So, and as you moved from your first year to your second year, did you solidify a lead gen strategy, or what did that look like in generating business as you moved forward in your business?
So in my second year, my friends and family, I started to get a lot of referrals in my second year and also from the relationships because I was networking at the time. So other agents were sending me agents within my office were sending me referrals because they knew that I was a go-getter. And so anytime someone didn't have time for, I took all the unwanted clients, this person is too difficult, or I don't want to do dual agency, or I don't know what to do with this person. I took all the unwanted client, but I also let it be known to the world that I was taking in business. And so the second year I had too many leads and I didn't know what to do with them. And that's kind of like when around the time that I was meeting Shelby, was in that time where I was just like, oh my God, like this is so much. I cannot talk to everybody at one time. And I was also picking up every single phone call. Every time my phone rang, I didn't care what I was doing. Even if I was with a client, I was like, you know what? This means that I'm busy. Okay. So I'm taking care of my business.
Girl. Oh my God. Dude, I love that too. And it makes so much sense now, like looking back as to why you were so obsessed with my transaction coordinator, Megan, at the time. It's because you were probably like, that Shelby is the one agent on this file. And yet I'm always talking to Megan and she's doing all the emails and she's doing all the coordination and the phone calls. How do I get that?
Yeah. And Shelby's so good for, like, honestly, if you can just hit up Megan with that same question, she'll get an answer for you right away. And I was like, fuck, this doesn't even know what's going on. I'm like, wow, okay, that's eye-opening. Absolutely.
I knew at least 50% of what was going on, but you're right. There's a lot of stuff. Dude, Megan is just so good. When you have the right transaction coordinator who so she was an agent first. And this was really powerful for me. She was an agent first. So she had done like all the agent pieces of the business. She knew the contract from her own, like, I have to figure this out. So she really understood what it felt like for me to put my trust in her. And she knew how to shape it in a way that someone who hasn't lived it can't do. Does that make sense?
Okay. I quickly wanted to say that that's a really good question to ask TCs as you're interviewing TCs, in case you don't freaking have one, or in case you need to change yours, is, were you an agent before? Do they understand the agent mindset? And why did they leave? Did they leave because they suck, or did they leave because of family or another issue where they just don't have the time or whatever to be an agent and driving around all over the place? Also, I want to touch on you picking up people's unwanted clients. I think that is so important. When people start out as a realtor in the business and they're about to go under transaction with someone else that's been in the business for a long time, they'll be like, oh my God, this person never answers their phone. They don't need to answer their phone. They really don't. They have systems and they've just been around. They get referrals. They don't need to go be as active as you are when you first start out. Yes, you need to answer your phone, I think, for at least the first couple of months. And you just need to do the reaching out. What I did on my first or second transaction, I lowered my commission and because I needed to do what it took to get in the door, at some point, you're not going to be there forever, but do what it takes when you're talking to other realtors in your area that are, busy, or, that they're killing it. Reach out, give them a call, reach out to them, introduce yourself and say, hey, any nightmare customers, clients, I will take. Anybody that you don't want. And then those are the biggest learning points that you'll ever have.
Totally.
Yes, with the lowest commission, I feel usually it's so correlated. But the ones with the lowest commission that you'll ever take are the hardest, and therefore the ones that you will learn the most. So start there. Stop being just go after these hard transactions.
Dude. And I'm curious, Yesenia, since you did have so many unwanted people in the beginning that you were working with, would you say that that's one of the reasons why you know the contract the way that you do? Or what is the part, why do you know the contract so well?
Not because I would take on the unwanted people did I start learning the contract so well. I started to have these transactions with more experienced agents that were talking down to me, which I did not appreciate because they knew the contract and, there were times that I didn't. And so I just vowed to myself to never be that inexperienced. You know how when you talk to a new agent, no shade to the new agents out there, but you can almost pick up on them almost instantaneously. And when I figured out that I was one of those people, I did everything in my power to never be one of those people again. And I just started to study the out of the contract every single day. And I'm like, nope, this is what it says now. This is what it says now. And in our post licensing through Kaplan or whoever it is, they had these like little Quizlet contract questions, and I was just taking them every day, 50 questions a day, until I was like, no, I know this now. Like, try me. I want you to.
Yeah. That's the level of dedication that so many realtors don't do because it's hard. You know, like it's not immediately transferring into business, but once you have that, you can be the best realtor, and you are. So that's awesome.
Dude, it's so valuable. Like I am the agent who doesn't know the contract line in, line out. And that's why, like, one of the reasons why I'm so impressed with Yesenia in general is just because whenever I have an issue with the contract, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, she's my help desk. I'm like, yo, what does this mean? And so Yesenia, you said that's from years of just reading and studying the contract. Are there any other tips that you would give people who are trying to be that person who knows they're like you?
Yes. Ask your other friends and family to ask you questions about real estate. Usually what I found out in the beginning was that no one knew as much as I did, and I knew that I didn't know crap, right? But as I was getting these new questions, I was like, oh no, actually right here it says this. This is what the contract says. And also, oh, that's also a great question. Page 7, 9B says, this is the seller's rights to this, you know? And
Nerd.
so, yeah,
no, just kidding. It's great.
As they were asking me questions, I was going back to the contract and highlighting inside the contract, like where the answer was coming from, to make sure not only that I wasn't giving bad information, but also to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, because you never want to go into a room and someone asks you a question that you are just spitting off at your mouth and then not be able to back it up.
Yeah. Especially if it's in the area of, like, it's supposed to be your area of expertise. You know, when people ask you and you're like, ooh. And then you were the one who told me about the hotline, right?
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, because the other thing was when I started doing my weekly, before I met Shelby, I already had somewhat of a grasp on my calendar, because I already figured out that if I didn't have my calendar situated, I wasn't going to be able to get all of the things in. So I was really already leaning heavily on my calendar. And one of the days I had to go over the NC hotline complaints and the frequently asked questions. So NAR, the National Association of Realtors, has a legal portion on their website that they put in, that they have for every state. You can go in and see all of the, what do they call it when people get in trouble? You can see everyone that's got in trouble for the month. Yeah, the naughty list. You can see what the resolution was and what they did wrong to get on the naughty list. And as a new agent, when you're really concerned about the legalities of everything and not breaking any rules, that was something that I was super concerned with. I wanted to make sure I was doing things right. So in order to figure that out, I went to the place where people were doing the things wrong and finding out how they were doing it wrong so that I wouldn't commit those same mistakes. And the other part was to frequently ask questions of every single month. This comes out on the National Association of Realtors website of frequently asked questions for your state. And I started to read all of those. And then, you know, if there was something on there that I didn't know, a lot of times they would be linked or they'd tell you how to find the resources. And I would go down the rabbit hole of learning that portion.
There's so many agents who are like, I'm scared to get started. Because I'm scared I'll get in trouble. I don't know what to do. Like, no one's here to show me what to do. Like, it's totally that, like, it sounds like no one told you to do any of this. It sounds like you're on your, because you weren't on a team. You know, you're in a firm, maybe your firm let you know that it existed, but no one told you to, you know, once a week go on there and learn, but you took so much initiative and so much responsibility in your own business on your shoulders. Oh, I wish I could like put that in a bottle and then like sell it
in a bottle.
I
want it now. I want it back now. No, I'm kidding. I want it back now.
She ran out.
No, it's a different grind now, but you're absolutely right. No one told me to do those things. I started to, also your realtor associations have a lot of resources too, that you can go to classes for free a lot of the times and just sit in there and learn about contracts, learn about how to lead generate and buyer presentations or whatever. And so it was kind of like a hodgepodge of information that everyone gets when they're first new, and you don't really know what to pay attention to and what you don't. But I'm very big on the internal, like what's making me feel uncomfortable about these things, and then finding the solution to that. So no, I don't want to be sued. So therefore I need to find a resource, the legal hotline, the Q&As, how to not get sued. I want to know the contract. I want to make sure that no other agent knows that I'm a new agent, that I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do know what I'm talking about. I'm going to read the contract. So it's a lot of a self-driving force that makes you get there.
I love that.
Love it.
You also mentioned that you want that back because of your grind now. What does your business look like now? And how does that differ? What systems have you started? All the things.
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us. We'll reshare that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was a really big question. So I'm going to condense it down to where my business is at right now. Right now, I am reevaluating production because of the hustle, right? So production does lead to big results, and you can have a team and you can leverage if that is what you want to do. So I want to go back to the internal. For me personally, I'm not after that hustle and having the biggest team and having the biggest sales numbers. So very recently here, I've been exploring more of the transaction coordinating side and the listing coordinating side, because it gives me more control over my career and the business where I want to be, and allows me more freedom to do what I actually want to do, which is spend more time with my friends and family. And so as long as your goals, like your financial goals and your career goals, align with that, I'm okay with. And that's what I would really encourage people to do. Obviously, this is 5 years in, so it's taken me some time to get to this point. Ultimately, I used to say that I just wanted to do real estate for my friends and family. So if I'm not spending time with my friends and family so they know that I'm actually doing real estate, I can't really do it, because it did get to a point in my business where my friends and family were kind of second to my business and to my career. And I really had to dig deep and be like, man, this just is not making me happy. I'm not fulfilled by this in the way that I was in the beginning, because I needed the money and I was willing to sacrifice my friends and family during that time. But now that I've done the time and I've put in the work, I'm more like, how do I get back to a holistic place?
Yes. Yeah. So what are you doing to get back there?
The TC work and the listing coordinating work. And that's really kind of like the perfect world for me, because I'm more in control of my time. And then when I get referrals from my fellow friends and family and other agents, I really have more time to dedicate to them so that they get the quality of service that they need.
Dude, nice. I love that, because so many realtors, just want to increase their business and like continue being what buyers or, listing agent, whatever it is, and like double their amount from last year, like just continue growing that way. But the amount of energy that they have is like less and less every year. And then like even them for themselves, let alone their family. So I love where your priorities are at.
Me too. And it's like, it shows that you've like detached from the ego, because the growing the team and doing more and more and more isn't always, but oftentimes attached to the ego and the pride of it all. But being able to detach and think about what you truly like and what brings you energy, regardless of what it may, seem or whatever, then I think that that's really powerful.
Dang, I have the same question for you guys now that you guys are both, have kind of grown your teams and been there. How do you feel about having the big team and chasing the numbers?
Not my goal anymore. Well, it depends. Actually, so I take that back. It depends on what you mean by team. So having lived the traditional team life, the Gary Keller Millionaire real estate agent, the 7 levels, all of that thing with the high splits and the high overhead, like that to me is not attractive anymore. I do think, and actually Drake, my husband, and I were talking about maybe a couple of years down the road, like once we're in Seattle, we've moved there, redoing a more traditional type of team, but like using all the lessons learned from the past and like constructing it in a way that this is a story for another time. But I think that for me personally, that's one of the reasons why I changed out of the traditional team and into the EXP model where it's community based. It's because of following the energy as opposed to the ego.
Yeah. And for me, I love it. Like, so my first year in the business, I was hustling, it was completely unsustainable because I was still part-time. But my second year focusing on like teaching others what I knew, and not just like in Tucson, Arizona, but like elsewhere, I liked that so much more. I don't want to say more. Okay, more than like working with buyers and sellers and like watching them go from like just normal person off the street to like a realtor that actually owns a business. So that is what I'm focused on, is continuing to grow that, which actually leads me to my next question of like teaching other agents and being a mentor. You're an EXP certified mentor, right? Are you still doing that? And why'd you get into it? And how has that been?
Okay. I got into it because my team leader, we'll call her Shelby Osborne, said that I would be really good at teaching other agents what I do. And at that time, I really didn't think that I knew a lot. Honestly, and still even to this day, I take my knowledge for granted. I suffer from imposter syndrome very badly. It's so bad. And I try to do better about that every day. But the reason why I became a mentor was because I was joining this new team. I wanted to add value to them wherever I could. It was brought to my attention that I knew a lot about the contract and where other people didn't, and how to run my business and the things that I was already doing in my business with the calendar, with my buyer's process, with the listing process. And that would be valuable to newer agents. And when I joined the team, when I joined 5 Pillars, I was 2.5 years in, and I never thought that any of those things were valuable because I was doing it on my own. So there was no one that like sat down with me. It was like, hey, what are you doing about these things? Once Shelby and Michael did that at the time, I was like, okay, I think I'll try it. I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, but sure, I think I can teach some things, people some things. And
you crush.
I was going to say, and then it was a success. The agents were like, can we have more Yesenia? We want her to teach us. Can Yesenia be my mentor? And I was like, oh, why do they all like me? It's
weird. Dude,
oh my gosh.
From my perspective, really funny though, because I knew she was a good cross agent, but then I living with someone, you get to see like their habits and their work ethic and overhear the calls and the Zooms and see the activities. And I was like, this girl's fire. Like, she doesn't think she's fire, which, yeah, but she is so much value to bring. Yeah. So, and then especially too, like your Myers-Briggs, the ESFJ that you are, like, actually you guys are both ESFJs. But the Yesenia is a little more, I think.
I love how she knows that and I don't. I don't remember ever what I am, but Shelby knows.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's constantly psychoanalyzing everyone. But yeah, Yesenia with the giving back and, having people learn and grow because of you, that does fill your cup, as long as it doesn't become too much, which is, I think, what did happen when there's too much feeding other people and not enough of yourself.
Right. And that's I think anyone can go through that. It's more like I was getting really invested because I'm a feeler. And so I just attach onto these people and I'm like, you're going to be my baby and you're going to grow and be successful. But, some new agents are successful. Some of them are not because they don't take their own initiative. And then I was taking that super personal, like, oh my God, these 3 people, they just somewhere and it's because of me, Shelby, I'm so sorry. And she'd be like, no, they were never going to do anything anyway, so just back off, try it for a little while. I still mentor select agents. I'm just a lot more mindful of who I allow myself to mentor, but I still love giving back. And the people that I have mentored, I think that 7 people successfully graduated from the mentor program for us while I was actually mentoring for the team. And that was something to show as well, because compared to how many new agents actually came on and stayed, still 7 was kind of like a good number. That I feel that kind of showed the value that we're able to get through those transactions.
I really think that imposter syndrome is so much more prevalent in females than it is men. And I guess studies show that too, where females when looking at job applications, if females think, I read something like, if females think that they only meet 75% of it, they won't apply. But men will see that they meet 25% and they will apply. Like it's such a difference. Yeah. It's such a difference in like the culture that, you know, the US has and just like growing up and all the things. But I do want to say this because I've never told you guys. Anyway, well, Shelby has. So when I first joined the community and Shelby was telling me about like the different business development groups and how like, you know, once a month we meet and we talk about like all of your pain points. How do you turn your business into a business, which people do not take advantage of. I'm like there every month, like new and intermediate. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so there's a new group and then there's an intermediate group. And I was like, is there an advanced group? And she said two things. She was like, the advanced group, if you feel like you're advanced, check yourself. And number two is the only person that would be in it would be Yesenia, and she'd be alone. And I was like, okay, got it. Yesenia's like at the top. I need to learn from her, even though I'm like across the country.
Yeah. Actually, there's a few advanced now. So I think we can actually have
now. But at the time that you were coming
at the time,
I think that was right. I was like,
dude, I didn't know. I remember putting it out to everyone. Shelby. Yeah. Where I was like, all y'all ain't. Yeah, you're all. You should all be in the newbies and like an actual, like a negative newbie if I could, you know?
Yeah. Our team is savage, young. If you guys want to come on to this team, just know that you're going to be met with savagery. It's a lot of accountability.
Yeah,
in your face savagery.
I know. I literally tell people, like, especially if so those that express interest when they reach out to me on Instagram or whatever it is, like, yeah, like you're killing it. How can I do what you're doing? And I'm like, it's because of the group that I'm on. And I hate using the word team. So I use like crew because we're not a team. Anyway, so I'm like, but like, you know, major comma, go into the groups beforehand because all of our team syncs are open to the public. And if you like cursing, if you like being on, you're part of it. Otherwise, you know, like, don't say I didn't warn you. So yeah, I'm like, you have to go to the meetings before you join.
Or don't and just be surprised. Okay. That's what I did and it worked out good. So it's okay.
Okay, like real quick, Yesenia, what are the systems that you use? Now you're still doing some agent stuff, you're doing TC stuff. Hit us with what you're doing on a day-to-day with your systems.
So yeah, agent stuff is the reason why I feel really good about the TC stuff. And it all started with me just brain dumping, to take Shelby's word, to Word documents every single part of every single transaction, and then taking out the commonalities of every single transaction and then breaking those down into reminders. Don't forget about this, don't forget about that. And for me in the beginning, I've never been an Excel person. It was literally on a Word document checklist that I would go through every single transaction. At every transaction, I would add to it, I would take away from it. I would add to it, I would take away from it. So that's really the most basic system that you can have, especially when it's coming from yourself and no one is telling you the checklist and what order of operations you need to follow. When it comes from yourself and you're struggling and you're going through it every single time, that's the way that I found that I was successful at coming up with that system. And then from there, a lot of people have client relation management systems that they use. And I used my calendar. I used this closing, close on this day, reminder a year from now, check in with these people, reminder 30 days from now, check in with these people, send them. I would put their birthdays on the calendar if they told me their birthday. And it would literally just come from me having a conversation face to face with them. And they're like, oh yeah, my son's birthday and we're going to do skating rink party or whatever. And I'd just go in my phone and I'd put it in my phone right away so that would be on my calendar so that when that time came, I could send them a reminder. And to this day, I started using the Monday.com probably at the end of last year or sometime during last year. And I'm trying to perfect that system so that it thinks for me so that I don't have to input so much into it. But it does take time. I still use my calendar. For me, the biggest thing, if there was the one free resource that you can use in your business, it is the calendar, because it will do everything for you. And if you respect it, you will be okay if you don't have a CRM.
So I'm taking it from like a new agent's perspective. You mentioned that you put people's birthdays in your calendar. Quick side note from that is I tried doing the same thing at the end of conversations, But by the time like there's something, I'm in the middle of a conversation, they tell me a date and I want that on my calendar. And then we continue the conversation. I forget. So I literally started saying like in the middle of the conversation, like, oh my gosh, your birthday is next Tuesday. I want to put that on my calendar. And I whip out my calendar and I do not forget. It's right there. Like they're literally watching me do it. Aside from like birthdays and like scheduled phone calls, like how else are you using your calendar?
How else am I using my calendar? I think a better question is, what am I not using my calendar for? I literally
take over my role then. Yes. Answer. Please give yourself questions and answer them. Thank you.
Allie, you're fired.
Just kidding. I guess I'm fired.
Allie, you're a great host. I love you. Okay. Yeah. I use my calendar for everything. No, honestly, I do everything from reminders to tasks, to family events, to, for example, like this morning, I had a CMA that I needed to get out first thing this morning. Then I had 2 closings that I'm TCing that needed the HUDs to be reviewed and make sure that they were signed and everything was correct. So all of that is on my calendar. And then the white blocks, there are times where I'm like, I'm laxing a little bit, and I have a lot of white time, but it makes me feel out of control. When I have a lot of unscheduled time on my calendar, it makes me feel out of control because I don't know what's coming up and it's all in here. And, sometimes I do write things down. I do have a notebook that I sometimes during the day, I'll take a quick note of if I don't have time to click over or whatever. But at the end of the day, all of those things go back in the calendar and they have a place for me. I don't have, like Shelby has talked to us in the past about the brain dump and like not a ginormous, but just having a place where all of the random things are stored. I don't have a place like that. I just use my calendar for that.
This short pause is to tell you that this podcast ain't free. Y'all, tap on the 5 stars and leave a review with your Instagram handle. If you're funny, we might give you a shout out on the next episode. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Do you color coordinate like different colors for each client or for task?
You should share your screen. Just kidding. I don't think it's possible, but I would love to share.
Oh.
I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't put me on the spot. Okay, color coordinating. I use pink for friends and family, the things that I like to do and that I find enjoyment in is what I use pink for, because to me, that's just a happy color. I use purple for like my personal stuff, like doctor's appointments and mail this to whoever. And then I use green for the activities that are making me money. Yellow I'll do for like team stuff or community stuff, if you will. And red is for my other half because he has a business and a lot of times his calendar conflicts with what we have going on. So I keep track of his calendar and I'll usually put his very important things in red. That way I don't forget that it's happening during that time or whatever. But that's usually, I keep it pretty basic. I don't have like 17,000 colors. I just keep it basic. Money is like my career. This is making me money. Purple is for myself, personal stuff. Pink, friends and family. And then red for my other half and yellow for team stuff.
Yeah. I've actually seen your calendar. When did you send it? I don't know when you sent it, but you sent a photo, maybe in the Slack channel to the group or something like that. And with how much you use your calendar, I was expecting commotion, like every single minute of the day, like something happening, because that's the way my calendar looks and it's so overwhelming. And yours, like I texted you this after. I was like, holy Yesenia, you schedule lunch. I was like, this is why I haven't been eating lunch. It's not on my schedule. Like it's not on my calendar. I skip lunch every day. And I'm like, she takes 12 to 1 or 12 to 12:30 for lunch. I'm like, that's brilliant. And it sounds so stupid, but I literally was going days without like eating lunch because it wasn't in my calendar. So
yeah, that's because I went many days without eating lunch. Because I went many days without eating lunch. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Business people eat lunch. Every business has a lunch break. So I
deserve food too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yesenia, that's something that you do really well too, where you just said like business people eat lunch. Like you're really good too about the 9 to 5, which is something that I know that a lot of us struggle with. And like even back when you were doing like a bunch of agent activities, I remember on your signature block, it would say something like my business hours are between 9 to 5 as like a reminder every time you emailed them. So
it's so true.
Cool.
I've always, well, not always, but especially when I came onto the team towards the end of me leaving my traditional firm, I had that mentality already in place about like people will respect my time if I respect my time. And I wanted more time with my friends and family. That was another reason why I was really like intrigued about the TC thing, because I was like, man, it's possible. And I was watching other agents do it where they were in the office from 9 to 5, and then they would go home and be with their families. And I was making an exception for myself because I don't have any children, and I didn't have any children back then either. And I wasn't married. So I was like, no, I need to be the one that's grinding out here. But now, even with no children and still unmarried, I still feel very strongly about real estate is my career, and what I do, it's not who I am. Who I am outside of this is me. So therefore, my business 9 to 5, and some Saturdays by appointment only. Sundays I'm completely off.
Yeah. So that's hard that's hard for many agents to, one, stick to their calendar, and two, when they have like fun activities scheduled out, to actually stick to that. And I'm very much so speaking about myself here. Every Tuesday afternoon from 2 to 5, I'm supposed to be done. I'm never done. I keep working, because what the fun activity that I'd like to do is get a massage. And the thought of driving across town to where the good massage is, otherwise like it's like shitty massage nearby, where the good massage is, I'm like, that's 30 minutes of just driving, and then another hour there, and then 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what a waste of time. I could be working, like it's total. I probably need therapy for this.
You're not.
Like,
it's okay. So me bad. Too.
Yeah, dude, I told Britt too. I was like, if for some reason, and we're completely fine, but if for some reason we were to ever get divorced, I would never remarry. I'd be working until I die. Like literally, that's it. That's all I'd be doing. I'd be married to my computer. But anyway, my question is, how do you actually, for fun activities, how do you take the time off? How do you close your computer?
This is a perfect question. It all goes back to inner self.
Oh, I'm back to being fired as the host. I'm back.
Back in the game.
Perfect question.
It all goes back to inner self. For me personally, I am the most happy and the most fulfilled when I'm 100% present with my friends and family. When I have done all of the things at my job that I need to do, which my job is real estate, and I can disconnect, right? So the moment that it's on my calendar, for example, I'm having breakfast with my parents and my sister tomorrow morning because we can't have family dinner on Sunday. And so we're doing it from 7 to 8 a.m. I'm going to be so present because today, when this is done, I'm through with it until tomorrow. So it's on me if I did not prepare for my day the next day, right? Now, for you, Allie, and I'm surrounded by a lot of people who are workaholics, okay? 2 of them are on this Zoom. One of them is on the other side of this wall. And it's a different thing. You really have to dig deep and know where you draw the line in the sand is, like as far as your happiness and where you want your relationships to be. And having the outside, or I was actually listening to Untethered Soul on my way back from Charlotte yesterday in the car. And if you can take a look outside of yourself, right, and think about all of those categories in your life that you feel are important, how much time are you putting into those categories, just like you're putting into work? Because it makes you a whole person, not just the one lane. This is the only thing that makes me happy in life. You obviously have other things that make you happy in life. So I would say that, and you're not putting it on your calendar, boo. I hate to bring this all full circle, but like if you put that massage therapist, well, then you just have to respect your calendar. If you're if you're gonna respect your calendar for your clients, you need to respect your calendar for yourself as well. And I know it's challenging to do. It's a lot easier said than done, but you just got to stick to your guns. If it's on there, make it happen, even if you don't want to, and then start building that muscle of spending time with yourself and doing the things that are important to you.
I think, Yesenia, watching you, that you do a really good job of understanding what has to get done versus what the crazy person inside of you thinks has to get done. Whereas like when I look at the two of you on the screen, like I feel like Allie, you're just doing one more. And I do the same thing. Allie, you and I are on the same team for this one. Although not the lesbian team, Yesenia.
To be clear.
Same team.
Audience.
To be clear. Yeah, where it's like you're going for that like one more hit of like what else can I get done? Whereas like Yesenia is like, this is what I owe people. These are the things that have to get done because the world won't turn tomorrow. Everything else can wait.
True. 100%.
Right?
But that's your 80-20. That's the 80-20 rule. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows about the 80-20 rule, but the 80-20 rule, do 20% of the task, so that the rest of the 80% can be leveraged or done by someone else. I do live by that rule. If someone is expecting something from me or there is a deadline, it will get done. We will meet the deadline. The rest of it can wait until. I'm guilty of it too. I work late sometimes too. And I just manage my own expectation. Okay, today is going to be a late day. For example, not this past weekend, but the weekend before last, I actually wasn't able to take a weekend off because there's an agent that I'm helping that I told her I would be her backup through the weekend. Therefore, I didn't really feel like I had a weekend. So I took Tuesday off, but I told everyone that I was going to be off on Tuesday. This Tuesday is my day off and I'm going to do whatever I want. So you just have to find that balance of sticking to yourself, respecting yourself.
When you say everyone, do you mean clients too?
Clients too. I'm pretty good about doing an out of office, or at least at a minimum right now, since I'm doing the TC and the listing coordinating stuff, letting those agents know that I'm going to be out of the loop for that time period. And yes, that's how I normally handle it. But normally I do an out of office. I try to set the expectation up front as well, like either the week before or a few weeks before if I know it's coming up in advance, to let them know that I'm going to be out of the office so that they're not surprised when Tuesday comes and they can't get a hold of me.
Because that's when everyone needs you, is when you go on vacation or when you take time off.
Yeah.
Always. Okay, I want to go into the golden nugget. So the golden nugget is the golden nugget that you can find on theagentgoldmine.com for free. Yesenia Fernandez, what did you bring today?
I am talking about Gary Keller's 8 goal categories of the Millionaire real estate agent. And the reason why I'm putting that on there is because in the beginning, this was my holy grail, y'all. And at the bottom, it says you need to reevaluate your goal for each one of the categories quarterly, weekly, monthly, and yearly. And I was doing that. I don't do it so much anymore now because I have a different strategy of the goals that work for me. So now I usually do like a yearly goal. I'll do a quarterly goal. I'll do quarterly goals. And that's really all that I do now. I don't usually do weekly or monthly goals anymore. But that was my holy grail in the beginning. Books are your friend, guys. You don't have to create the path. The path has been created for you. And that's something that I knew early on as well. And so I bought the book. I read the book. I would reread the book. I would do things. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to do this week. This is my goal for this week. And so lead generation, listings, contracts written, contracts closed, money, people, systems and tools, and personal education. Those are the 8 categories. And if you really take the time to sit down and break out those categories and make your own goals within each of those categories, any agent can be successful. I hear a lot of times people using the excuse, no one's shown me, I don't know how to do this, my firm's not giving me this, my bank's not giving me this, my mentor's not giving me this. But it's no one's responsibility to make you a successful business owner. It's your responsibility to make yourself a successful business owner. And so there are tools out there to use it. And so that's why I wanted to drop that into the golden nuggets.
Yes, I love that. Leads generated, listings, contracts written, contracts closed, money, people, systems/tools, personal education. I love that. I marked that as a clip also because, people do complain a lot about how they're not receiving. Hey, I haven't gotten this. I haven't been told this. Well, I was never told that. Okay, yes, but also why should they have told you? They also are in charge of 14, 50, 100 other agents. You know, like, why do you think you should have had a one-on-one to be told that you are your own business owner? And I think that comes with like the mentality that you had from the beginning. Like, hey, I'm running my own business. There is no one else out there that's going to like truly, truly help me but me. So,
but myself. Absolutely.
Ownership.
Extreme ownership.
Love it, all of that.
I do.
Right. Okay, Yesenia, one question before we go to the wrap up, because you've already answered one of our wrap up questions. So here's the replacement. What is your biggest vice? And are you working on it? Have you accepted it? What do you feel like in your business? I won't go too personal, or if you want to go personal, whatever you want.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, I have the perfect answer for this. And it is putting my business first. So my personality type causes me to do a lot of work for free, which is very true. And that's one of my downfalls that I'm currently working on. And it's not because I don't think that I add value to people. I know that I add value with 100% of my heart. I will take your business and do everything for you as if it were my own. But with that, on the other side, sometimes that comes with people taking advantage of that. I'm so big on like, even if you have the money, and I know that you have the money, I'm big on the universe will give it back to you. Whatever you put out into the universe will give it back to you twofold. But sometimes that doesn't pay the bills. I'm just saying. Yeah. Sometimes that doesn't translate directly into paying the bills. So I would say that that's my biggest vice, is giving too much value without charging. And what I'm doing to combat that right now is I have a group of supporting people that I run my business ventures through, and that helped me to make sure that I stick to my guns. And accountability is so important. I really want people to also know that you can't do it all alone. Find your people, find that mentor, find whatever it takes to elevate you to the next level, because those are the people that are going to help you to receive your value, if you're a person like me anyway.
You should start charging. You should start coaching, like straight up coaching.
Dude, you should have charged us to have you on this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
She's going to charge us later. She's going to bill us later.
Bill us afterwards. Oh my God.
I would never
charge. With the extra 20 minutes that we took to set up beforehand.
Dude, exactly.
Going to the wrap-up questions. What events are you going to this year?
This year, I'm actually in June. I'm going to a neural practical linguistics conference.
Yes.
It's a conference.
Yes.
Wow. It's a conference all about your brain, about reprogramming your brain and helping you get rid of some of those negative habits that are holding you back in life that you may or may not be aware of, and helping you move past them. And right now, I think I'm really on a personal growth journey. I'm really on a personal growth
we're here for
journey.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to that. I also have a real estate conference that I'm going to called the Re-Up in Columbia, South Carolina. And then I will be going to Savannah to accompany Michael to another investor meetup in Savannah that he's speaking at. Shelby, what is this?
What's in November? I literally every time I'm like, she's gonna say, dude, I hate you right now. Like,
I'm also going to the Pillars Mastermind retreat where we're gonna learn how to be better pillars and better people. It's in November.
Total afterthought.
Dude, literally no one watches on YouTube again because I just cared so hard with my hand raisings, and she just said, that's fine.
What's happening?
That's fine.
I'm like,
I'll remember this forever.
Sorry.
Dude, I should have known that NLP has their own freaking conferences. And like, I only learned about that, like what that even was when I first became an agent a whole whopping year and a half ago. But it's like such subtleties that make such a big difference. Like when you're talking to a prospective client, but nobody, one that hasn't yet signed any paperwork with you. It's little things like, putting your hand to your chest. Like, well, when you find a good agent, like that, where like, you're not saying anything, but like your actions and they're not even realizing it, but you're saying everything. And like subconsciously they're like, oh, they must be a good agent. I love it. Please share your notes. Even if you have to charge us.
You're going to have to do one of our sync classes for the community. for 5
I'm
pillars.
not
You're gonna
signed
have to
up
come
for
back and
that
teach.
yet. I have not attended yet. I will let you know after I attend. See, this is how Shelby gets you to commit before it even happens.
Oh yeah. It's so yeah, you're right. Actually, I went to the same conference a long time ago and you guys didn't know. I've been using the tricks with you.
This is how she does. Oh my god.
And yeah, who's moving in with me next? Who's my new roommate?
Yeah, right. You have a room. You have a permanent roommate now.
You're right.
You're not taking
great.
any more roommate
Okay,
applications.
correct. Okay, next question is how can we help you in your business and where can people find you?
Like I said, right now I am hand selecting the agents that I am doing transaction coordination work for. However, I am building that book of business. So if you are an experienced agent and you're looking for an experienced transaction coordinator that has been an agent previously, and you're with EXP specifically only because of the sky slip, please hit me up. That's how you can help me.
That was smooth. Said that before. How can they find you though?
Oh, please find me at my Yesenia at closedbyesenia.com. That's my email address. What's my Instagram? I don't know. Y'all, I'm so bad at social media, okay? Don't ask.
That's okay.
I do prefer email. Email is the way to go for me. But if you must find me on social media, I think I'm Yesenia_real estate. That's it. Yeah. On Instagram. And
awesome. Say your email one more time.
Yesenia at closedbyesenia.com.
Closed. Past tense? CLOSED. Okay. Excellent.
Past tense.
Hang
and my
with
name
us.
is backwards on there, but
oh yeah, and she has her phone number right there too, but she prefers email.
I do prefer email.
yes.
I mean, you can text me,
but don't text. Hey, don't text. Who is this?
Don't text with your name and your intent from the beginning.
And how long you expect a phone call to be if you need a phone call. Otherwise, keep it to text. If you want to hang with us on social media, we are Allie the Agent. That's Allie spelled ALI. And I realized that I never said that out loud. Everyone says it spells it ALLIE. Anyway, it's like Allie like Ali, but Alexandra, whatever. Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show on the Instagram. So find us there, hit us up there. Check out this golden nugget at theagentgoldmine.com. And that's it for today. So you know what to do.
Be a bro and share the show. Boom.
Thanks for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep the resources for you. Till next time.